Today, I'm going to show you a scalping strategy to get involved when there is strong and fast momentum in the market. If you've ever watched the market break out and leave you and you're wondering if you've missed the opportunity and you're scared to chase price, here's how you can get involved with low risk and high probability. Okay guys, so for this strategy, what you want to do is have at least two time frames. You're going to have a higher time frame and then the lower time frame, which is going to be your entry chart. I'm going to show you on two different sets of data here. I'm going to use time-based charts because I know many of you use time-based charts, but I'll also show you on tick charts because that's often what I'm using to enter my trades, but I'll show you how it looks on both. So we'll start here on the time-based chart. This is the 5-minute chart, and this is going to be our higher time frame chart. Okay, what we want to look for here is the overall trend and market structure. So a couple things that I see right off the bat. So yes, the market was moving down, but in the pre-market we started to have some strong impulses up here. See this nice bullish candle here, and look at the volume on this candle starting to pick up on this bullish move. So right at the open, the market tried to push down with a bunch of volume and got rejected right away with this very strong push up. And this strong push up broke structure, you could sort of say here, but kind of more importantly, we broke this level of resistance, and then we came up and really sort of tapped into this level of resistance here as well, and we can see we broke through that where this green line is. Okay, so for me, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing bullish structure up, down, up, with this wave right here, this last leg right here being the last sort of very strong impulse to the upside. So once we've identified the trend direction, in this case, I definitely want to trade to the long side because we had this nice strong impulse. Then all we're doing is waiting for consolidation. So you can see here the market chopped a little bit, consolidating slightly downward, but it's still within this impulsive move, right? So even though this is kind of making these micro lower highs and lower lows, they are within this bullish range. So we're still bullish on this market, okay? That's kind of the first step of what we're looking for. Now what we want to do is simply wait for the breakout of this. Now, I don't like trading breakouts of trend lines, right? So if this were like a channel, you know, to me, trend lines are a little bit too subjective, so I don't like taking breakouts like this. I only trade breakouts of horizontal ranges. So for me, I'm going to miss this initial breakout. I'm just not going to be in that. But once we start to see price breaking out, this is when we can go into our lower time frame. So step one, find your structure. We're bullish, right? We have bullish market structure on the higher time frame. Step two, wait for a nice consolidation on that higher time frame. Step three, you're going to wait for the breakout, and at this point I'm going to go to my lower time frame. Now a couple things I want to point out here. This is the 1 minute chart, so this will be my entry, and what I want to point out here is if you look at volume right at as this is starting to bottom, you can start to see a shift of strength. If we look at volume here, so we can see, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see the volume. You can see that these bearish legs had stronger volume, the bullish moves were a little bit lower, and then right about here as we get into this bottom, you can see that the bearish leg, this last push down, not so much volume. These two bullish candles are starting to kind of equalize the volume, and then this last little attempt down, lower volume, and as we start to push up, we're seeing stronger volume into the bullish move. The other thing that I want to point out here, which gives me confidence for this trade, because remember, it's a little bit counter trend if you really zoom out on this higher time frame, right? Like the overall market was kind of, you know, bearish as a whole. But I want to point out also this divergence on our cumulative delta. And for you guys who follow my work, you know that I really like these divergences. So we've got a lower low here, and then we've got a higher low on the cumulative delta. So that's giving me also confidence that continuation to the upside here is probably what we want to be looking for. So we've got that on the 5 minute and on the 1 minute. And I want to just show you really quickly On a tick-based chart, 10,000 tick, you see the same thing. So you can see these breaks of market structure here. We have this big bullish impulse up into this sort of previous level of support and resistance, and we start to retrace down, and then we're beginning to break out of this move. Again, you can see the delta divergence right here on the 10,000 tick, and then this would be the higher time frame for me on a tick chart, 2,000 tick, same deal. So you can see the lower low here, but the higher low here on the delta, and that's what we are kind of looking for to give us extra confidence getting in this trade. But again, where do we get in? I don't like taking the breakout. So let's play this forward a little bit and see what happens. I'm going to go back to this 1 minute chart so you guys can see how this looks with both volume and delta on a traditional time-based chart. Okay, so I sped that up a little bit just so you could kind of see what's happening here. Look how our delta is getting really strong. We're breaking these highs on delta as we're breaking the highs on price action. I like that confluence into the move. That's confirming the bullish move for me. I also want to point out the big spike in volume on the breakout candle. That's really important when you're trading breakouts, that you want to see a spike in volume on that breakout. Okay, so at this point, we're going, wow, price broke out and I missed it. And we don't want to, quote, chase price. So what do? So once we have this scenario, we've got the breakout, we're watching this on our lower time frame. Now all we have to do is we want to watch for another smaller consolidation on this lower time frame. Okay, I'm going to play it forward. We'll see what happens. Okay, so now we've gotten this nice little consolidation and this little pullback on the small time frame. Again, a couple things I really want to point out here. So as we consolidated, and especially when looking at this pullback on this bearish bar here, look at our delta. We really want to see the delta holding up. So if you get a pullback like this with a big negative delta on that move, that's going to give me a little bit of trepidation to take this trade. But given that the delta stayed strong, even as this started to pull back down, that's a big point of confluence for me. Similarly, notice the volume on that bearish move is not super strong, right? So we're just sort of consolidating, volume's getting low, the market's resting, it's taking a breather, and on that candle down, it's not like we got a huge volume spike. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks overall. I'm going to switch over to my 2000 tick chart because it's also where my entry tools are. And again, if you look at this, the consolidation's a little bit easier to see, I think, on this chart. And there was a few ways, like on this chart, honestly, I may have even entered in based on this pullback here. Because again, you can see we got a little bit of the bearish delta, but not a lot comparative to the previous candles, okay? But even if we want to wait for this kind of bigger consolidation and pullback, either one would be fine. So you could enter above this high with a stop under the low, or in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stop under this pullback low. So I'm going to go 1 tick under the low. I'm going to put my entry 1 tick over the high, and I'm going to target 1.5 reward to risk. Okay, and we're going to let this rip. Now, I want to point one thing out for you guys, because notice this green line here going across, this level of resistance. And if we take a look at this on even a higher time frame, like a 15-minute, you can see that this was a major level of support. This was the previous day's close and then the overnight level, and then we came down and retested it in the overnight. This might give a lot of people some hesitancy to enter this trade. If you've watched my original momentum continuation strategy video, which I will link to here, you'll remember that I said I'm perfectly comfortable taking these underneath a level of resistance, because it's often these moves that are going to power through that level. And you still have very high probability. Where I start to get hesitant is actually taking these right above the resistance level. That's often where you actually get the head fake and the failure. So this is still actually a really valid setup to me. Okay, so let's go back to this 1 minute chart and let's play this trade out. Okay, so now we're in the trade, and what I want to point out again is take a look at our delta. So as we're breaking this high, so this little micro breakout, we have nice, strong delta. And what we want to see here is that as price continues to hold above this level, we want to see increasing volume. We want to see the volume confirming that move. We want to see more buyers piling in and joining in with us. So you can start to see this little spike in volume down here. And I've got a little moving average on here. You might not be able to see, but this spiked above the moving average. And here we go. Big spike in volume, big spike in delta, big spike in volume as we start to move up towards our target. And there it is. The trade is done. So again, look how volume is continuing to spike. You could, if you wanted to, continue to hold this trade for longer or hold a runner. If you're going to be holding a runner, that's what you want to see. You want to see volume going strong in the direction of your trade. So that's exactly how we catch these moves after the breakout if we're a little bit afraid that we missed it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, guys, please do me a favor, throw a like on the video, please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any thoughts about this strategy or if you've tried it yourself, please let me know in the comments.